What up with the people? My name is Sylvester Bracey Jr. and this is Culture by Sylvester. Conversations with my father. As you should know by now, if you've been tuning into the other first or second get down, who my father was and what the impact he had on me was. And today I want to further that conversation and share with you this conversation that he and I had about systems. So as you know, he left me these journals. So I'm flipping through his journal and I see where he had wrote this comment that he said to me about the oppressor.
Afro right here, or somewhat of an afro. It's not big, no. But they want us to wear skin head, what they call it, high and tight. High and tight. It's not my culture.
And he said, "Do not foist upon us your twisted fantasy, so that you may justify your heathen ways and your pitiful existence." And that comment right there was geared towards the oppressive systems that attempt to subjugate us and hold us down as a people. So when you ask, well, what are these oppressive systems? These are systems that are external to you. For instance, like the education system, wherein we're taught to compete against each other to be the best, even if it's at someone else's expense, you know. So you compete to be the best, be number one, be on the dean's list, the honor roll, summa cum laude. But at the same time, if you're living in an underserved community or a minority community, the resources that you have at hand, they are imbalanced to what they're given in the affluent communities. So as you're all expected to be number one and graduate with the 3.5 or 4.0 or be able to go to college and compete at this level, your hands are tied behind your back somewhat if you're from certain areas. Another system we talked about was the housing system. People who go to these better schools, they tend to go to graduate and get jobs that pay better money. You're making more money, you can live in an affluent community. Those of us who may not have went to the best schools, some of us still continue to go and get great jobs, but a lot of us don't. And we don't live in those affluent communities. The policing system, when you police said community, you police in the affluent community, it's serve and protect. That's the motto. In the underserved minority communities, it's law and order. You know, they checking you. You know, another system is the judicial system. Us as human beings, right? When you're born, your mother, she has breasts. She nurtures you. All of us. Your mom nurtures you and raises you up with love and compassion, right? That's the way it's supposed to go. But if you mess up, according to this judicial system, you ought to be punished. But if you're black, you ought to be punished severely. I was reading in the New York Times like 3 days ago. It was an old article from 2021. It was this white kid out in Texas, 16 years old, pleaded guilty to raping another teenage girl. Matter of fact, he had 4 counts of rape. Pleaded guilty to raping her, a white girl. What happened was I think she was white. I'm not sure if she was white or not, but I think she was white. She spent the night over his crib to visit his sister. He went in the room, pulled down her pants. She started resisting a little bit. He told her to stop acting like a baby, and he raped her. He admitted this. The white judge said, you know, he was up for 8 years to go to the joint. The white judge said, you know, I just can't see how incarceration could help this guy. I just can't incarcerate him. He gave him 8 years probation. Now, anyone you know that's black, if they've ever committed rape, and rape is bad whatever color you are, you better believe they got busted upside the head with that time. They did their 8 calendars. But that's your judicial system. If you're black, you are to be punished severely. He just got a punishment. Another system is the penitentiary system, you know, where millions of people who look like me are marched through these systems daily. Because, here's the thing, they buy those beds from a company. They buy those spreads, those what do you call them, sheets, paper towels, toilet tissue, peanut butter, the bread, the water, the milk, the juice. That's all being purchased from a company. That's supply and demand. They need the people to eat this stuff so they can keep this cycle going, which is why the poverty system is a system. Poverty is a system. There are institutions and corporations that benefit from your pain and suffering, like the penitentiary system. You know, it's just imbalanced. So the old man was talking to me. He said, we just use you as an example again. I always like to use you as an example. So he asked me about my first interaction with the police. And I remember, man, I was like 7 years old. 6 maybe, but about 7 years old. And my crib was on 96th and Morgan, right? And in the summertime, it was the summer, all the kids, we either go to the park and play, or we at the school playing, right? So this particular day, we at the school, we playing lob ball. Lob ball is just like baseball, except you just lobbing it up. You want them to hit it. You ain't throwing fast. You ain't throwing no curveball. Or you might throw a curveball, but it's slow, right? So we playing lob ball. It's like 50, 60 kids up there. Everybody up there is cracking. And what happens is if you hit the ball on the roof of the school, that's a home run. Or if you hit it over the school, you know, that's like you strong, you know what I'm saying? So one of the guys hit the ball on the roof. And we had this thing, you can run around to the front of the school, you climb up this little berry tree, you can get on the roof, get the ball from over by where the kindergarten area, you can get the ball. Or you can go through center field, climb up the gate, get on the high part of the roof and get the ball. So while guys getting up on the roof getting the ball, one of the guys, he decided he wanted to just try to see if he can get into school. He a young fella. He was successful. He busted into the school. The alarm goes off. Man, I'm talking about within 45 seconds, all them 50 kids, they all got little, you know what I'm saying? We out of here. The farther we get, the littler we get, you know what I'm saying? We disappearing. We got little. It ain't a kid within 5 miles of the school in like 45 seconds. We up. So my crib was like a half a block from the school. So I'm at the crib, in front of the crib, talking to about 3 of my guys, and we 7, 6, 9. About 10 minutes go past, the law pull up, you know, go to my crib. But I'm not at the crib, I'm kind of across the street just chopping it up with my guys. They come from my crib, come right to where we at. They say, hey, who's Sylvester Bracey? I'm like, you know, I'm shaking, you know what I'm saying? My whole body's shaking like a dice game, you know. He finna roll 7-11 with me. You know what I'm saying? He to see this, I'm visibly scared, you know what I'm saying? I never talked to police before in my life. But he started trying to pinch me, you know what I'm saying? Interrogating me. I'm 7, hitting me with these tough questions and mean mugging me and threatening me. And I'm like, man, I don't know who broke into the school. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I did know. It's one of my guys. He was on my baseball team. You know, he 3 years older than me. I can say his name right now. I ain't gonna say it though. But my guy broke. Everybody knew it was him. You know, but I wasn't finna tell you nothing, especially the way you treated me. So they mistreated me, right? They tried to funk me. But then they gave me my glove. They threw my glove at me. And that's how they had found me. I ran out of there so quick. And my glove back in the day, you know, you're sure you write your name, your address. If anybody find this, you return. So they came right to my crib. I was a sucker for that. My mama wrote it on there, you know what I'm saying? So that was my first interaction with the police. But what my old man had said, see, that was, they missed a really good opportunity to build relationships with you and them other 3 guys you was with if they would have treated you right. But they mistreated you. And man, they made an enemy from that point on, when I was 7, it was just like when I see the law, it's like, psh, you know what I'm saying? Man, it's on. You know what I'm saying? So when we stopped talking about the policing system and we started switching to the education system. So I'm from the South Side of Chicago. I'm from 95th Street, 96th Street to be exact. And from kindergarten through 8th grade, my whole school, everything, 100% is all black. The entire community is pretty much black. There's one Chinese family on my block. I don't know how that happened. You know what I'm saying? There's 6 kids, the Yi family. They was the only Chinese people I ever seen other than like if you went to Chinatown. But they were super cool. They fit in, they knew how to get it. They were good, athletic, everything. But K through 8, I lived in the hood. But what happened was, time to go to high school, I want to go to Simeon for high school. You may have heard of Simeon. They got fantastic, superior sports teams, baseball, basketball, football, everything. They super dope. and my cousin had just graduated in '85. I'm coming in as a freshman in '85, and my mama had a trick up her sleeve. She had built a crib out in the south suburbs, this town called Richton Park, about 20 minutes from where I lived at. And she wanted me to go to school out, well, ain't no wanting me. You finna go to school out here. You know what I'm saying? So this school is mixed. It's like 65% white, 35% black, 33% black, something like that, 30% black, you know, Spanish, you know, Pakistans, it's all kind of kids, right? So I go to this school, and I get to understand how white people move around. You know, I'm meeting all kind of people, man. It's you know, jocks like you see on the movies on TV. You got rock and roll guys with long, cool hair like Van Halen, or you know the rock stars you see on TV. They wearing the little ashy little shirts, just T-shirts that say Iron Maiden or Metallica, got the little motorcycle boots on. I mean, just some TV stuff. You got girls with just wearing all black and big old black boots with heels this thick and tall, and black eyeliner and piercings and big old spiked hair. And you got this one guy, he was Indian, and he wasn't the only one, but he's an Indian, not like Cherokee Indian or, you know, Blackfoot. He's New Delhi. He's from New Delhi, India, his family was. But he was folks. He said he was folks, you know what I'm saying, wearing his hat to the right, you know what I'm saying. He comes shaking you up, you know, what, y'all, man, they blow. I'm like, what is going on here? I wasn't used to no New Delhi folks, you know what I'm saying. I'm like, what up, New Delhi G? This New Delhi G. You know what I'm saying? So in my neighborhood, it was GDs where I came from in Chicago, but it was kind of different seeing this guy saying he GD, and I know it's a little different in the city. It was a lot different, right? You got you know, the guy with the 28-inch mohawk, the spiked like you see in New York City, and the bald head on the side. It's just a totally different environment, right? But I then began to learn that color matters. I'm seeing in the sports, they got, you know, on the baseball teams, the basketball teams, the football, the same white guys. It's the quarterbacks. They the pitchers. They starting point guards on the back. They ain't necessarily better than really not better than anybody, but I'm seeing the politics up in here where the color matters. But I'm learning this at 13, 14 years old. And it's starting to shape how I understand how the world is going on, right? So I remember, you know, the housing is different. You know, she built the crib out here, you know, they got subdivisions, you know, they got lakes, you know what I'm saying? Matter of fact, the little subdivision I lived in was called Lakewood. You know, they got ponds, you know, all the little schools, the little feeder schools that feed to the high school, they got basketball courts outside where you can play, you run a whole. We had a basketball court at our park in the city where I was from. We had a swimming pool up at the park, but at the school, if you want to play basketball, you playing on the monkey bars, you know. You get too old for that, you ain't playing no basketball up here. We had poles where the backboards in the rim used to be, you know, you bored, you over there imaginary gaming over there like that was two, you know what I'm saying? Man, that wasn't going in. Man, that was going in. You finna fight because he said you missed the shot that you took on the imaginary backboard, you know, in the rim. Now y'all betting $5 when y'all go to the park, who gonna win in the one-on-one, you know, so that's where I'm from. So it's different, right? So I started to see how things was imbalanced. They got, at this high school, they had a smoker's lounge for the kids. Like, if you was a sophomore and your parents sent a note, said you could smoke at school. I mean, but it was outdoors. But you go in between class, they smoking Camels, Marlboros, you know, they out there, they getting, I mean, the amenities this is very different. So me and no man talking about that, right? So he says, you know, so that's just to show you a little bit how these external systems impact your life. He said, but let's talk about the internal systems, right? So internal to your body, there's 11 different systems that function within your body. You may remember them from science class or whatever class it was. You got the reproductive system, immune system, digestive system, skeletal system. But we was talking about the nervous system. And the nervous system is what sends a message to your body to make it move. Like my nervous system just told my arm to do that. Your nervous system gives your body instructions to move. The brain tells the nervous system what's up. So we talked about a time when my nervous system moved in a way that maybe was not the best way. But it goes back to me being in this new environment, right? So I'm a freshman, right? I just started school, say maybe late August 20th, something like that. We probably in the first week of December, because I had messed up my foot. I was on the basketball team. I had messed up my foot before the big tournament that happens in December. So I was out. I'm in the cast. I'm in wood shop, right? Where you make, little wood shop 101. You making little step ladders, or you may make a picture frame or whatever, and you get the little wood, you run it across the little saw, cut it into a rectangle, and get the wood glue, the divots or rivets, whatever you call those things, and put it together. Put dowels, that's what you call them. Get your dowels and you put it together, right? So I'm in wood shop, and there's this one white guy. He one of them rock and roll guys, stoner. That's what they call him, a stoner. He got on the Metallica, Megadeth type of shirt, got the hair, it's not so long, but it's thin and stringy and real oily looking, He got a full beard as a freshie, glasses, beady eyes. And I didn't know the dude. He's just in my class. I don't know too many people. I got 3 months worth of friends. I'm new in this environment, And we in class, right? And me and him had some type of words about something. It wasn't really too big. He said something, I said something, like, it was over, like, man, going on with that old garbage, it's over. This man looks me dead in my eyes and says, and I quote, you niggers think you're real tough these days, don't you? So in my mind, I went back to my old hood. I could hear my homie, OG, Jimmy Mack from 10 Trey, 103rd Street. Jimmy Mack is one of my cousin's best friends. They about 5 years older than me. Jimmy used to say, come on, man, let me go down here and kick your ass for you real quick. I got to go and kick your ass. So I just heard Jimmy saying, man, I got to beat his ass for him real quick, So I did, you know what I'm saying? Bing, 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 bop. It was real quick, just bing, 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 bop, bing, bip. And, kind of like on Batman when he punches you and the words come up, pow, boom, bam, bing, 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 bop, bip. But what I realized is when I'm bing, bing, bopping him, I'm Batmaning him, he's just doing this. He just, he not trying to get nothing off. So I'm like, he's not gonna fight back. You can call me a nigga. You know I'm not from here. You gotta assume you got a guy from the city come out here. He knew you call him a nigga. You better kind of expect that you might get Batmaned. So he not fighting me back, right? So I'm not trying to, I said, let me just end this. Let me just dominate him real quick, embarrass him in class, and it'll be done. So I said, what can I do? Let me just throw him down. So I grabbed him and I threw him on the table, but I didn't realize that it was the table with the saw on it that you cut the wood with, right? So I threw him on the table, but he's still not resisting. He's just letting me drag him. And next thing I know, we by the saw part. I'm like, wait a minute, this dude ain't gonna fight me. You ain't gonna kick me. You're not gonna do nothing to get me off of you. Like, this ain't how fighting goes. I'm supposed to get 1 or 2 off. You're supposed to be coming back, charging me, making me go back and, uppercut to get away and that. None of that. So I realized, like, man, I got to let this dude up because he don't know he's not fighting. I wasn't used to that. I'm used to a fight. We gonna fight. We gonna it's synchronized. We're both trying to hurt each other. He called me the name and then just let me do whatever I wanted to. So teacher comes over there, took us outside. You guys knock it off. He done told me to knock it off. I don't think I ever heard that phrase, not to me directly. That was some TV stuff. He told me to knock it off, for Pete's sake type of, he done hit me with the, for crying out loud type of talk, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, where my mama got me at, man, these characters, you know what I'm saying? Casting is in this mug. So, the old man listening, he laughing at me, but he got serious with me. He said, man, you know what, man? I'm not saying you shouldn't have tightened old boy up for calling you out your name like that, because that's disrespectful and it deserves a violation. But He says, we, not just you, but as a people, we got to adjust how we respond to these factors, certain traps and triggers, because they're set to promote imbalance. He said, that way we can just control the desired outcome. He says, you do know that was a trap. He says, now what about when you decided to throw him down, you threw him on that table? What if at that point he would have panicked because he knew the saw was over there, you know, and he flailed and, you know, cut his own arm off, you know? So now instead of going up to the principal of the high school jail, you know what I'm saying, you done called a murder case, you going to jail. And this guy's in there that's gonna call you a nigga that ain't scared of you. And they big and they can fight. So you gotta think and understand how to move in these situations with these triggers and traps that these people and these oppressive systems put you in. So I'm like, man, that's kind of dope. He said, a tribe or a clan can stand on blood, but blood has its limitations. He says, as a nation, we must learn to stand on principles. So the question to you is, how sound are your principles? What are your principles? I understand the man called you out of your name, but you got to think bigger and beyond that point. Now, he never gave me a solution on how to do that, but he did make me think. He says, so when we talk about this nation's principles, America, which are shrouded in lies and illusory, scandal and shame, versus your principles as a civilized, intelligent being, because that's what you claim to be, right? And I'm like, yeah, you know. He's like, okay, civility and intellect. So we know how to think things through. And he began to share with me this poem he taught me, or he recounted this poem he had taught me some years before. It's called The Ladder of St. Augustine by Henry Wadsworth Longfellow, who's a white guy. It was written in 1850. My old man, his 6th or 7th grade teacher taught it to him in the 60s. But the part that really resonated with him, which now resonates with me, it goes, the heights of great men, reached and kept, were not attained through sudden flight, but they, while their companions slept, toiled upwards through the night. And before I get into the meaning of that, I want to just recount one thing. That was a poem written by a white man in 1850, and my old man knew it, and he taught it to me, and now we both recite it. And it's cool. It's information. It's culture. Reciting that should be no different from reciting something that you learned from Langston Hughes, or Maya Angelou, or J. Cole, or Nas, or Jay Ivy, or Kendrick Lamar. It's culture. It's information. So, like he said, forget all these self-limitations. Because some white man in 1850 wrote it, okay, it's still game. Take it. So basically what it's saying is, despite the situation, despite the circumstances, despite the oppression, greatness doesn't just happen overnight. Those who will achieve greatness, they will work. Others were being tricking off. Others were not being focused. They remain focused. I lost focus in that moment when I threw that man on that table. You got to remain focused and look at the big picture in order to be great. And so now, whereas I thought I was entertaining an old man, telling him how I got down on this guy, you know what I'm saying? I'm Batman and I'm making up these terms, bip, bip, bop, bip, bink. You know what I'm saying? It was quick, man. I kicked his ass for him, just like Jimmy said, you know, and he laughed. But we soon stopped laughing when he brought that back to me about an alternative way to look at it. So again, like I said, between 21 and 23, when we lived together, man, his presence changed my life. The words he spoken to me changed my life. They changed the way I began to view life, how I act, how I acted, how I, man, everything. So, again, we come to the end of the story, man. The flick is over. My name is Sylvester Bracey Jr. This is Culture by Sylvester, Conversations with My Father. As my old man used to say, until next time, to be continued, over and out. As I like to say, much love, much respect, revolutionary salute. Before I get out of here though, if you want to hear more about my old man or a little more on these get downs, Follow me on IG at culture, CUUULCHA by Sylvester, or you can follow me on YouTube by the same name. That's C3UsLCHA_ by Sylvester. It's been one, man. Look for the next Get Out, number 4.